y'all, it's Denise, and it's been a while since I've been playing with some small pieces in my studio, but I thought I'd share this one with you. And this one was actually a special request from one of my subscribers, Carm, who was curious on how I did this little piece, which I used as an example when I did a faux encaustic using matte medium as my encaustic feel on top of the piece. But she wanted to go a little deeper and find out how I came about the little picture that was underneath. So I'm going to give you a little tutorial on how I did that, and hopefully I can pull it off in a short amount of time. If not, I might break it up and then splice it all together, but here's how I got started. So there's a lot going on here. There's paper, there's writing actually underneath, if you can see that. We've got our cute little birds. There's some fabric underneath here, if you can see that. There's a map. There's a lot of layers going on. So we're going to start with how I start with my layers. I've got some pieces already pulled together, which I'll get to. But one thing I do really enjoy doing is journaling. And I don't like to journal in a book. I like to journal on a piece of artwork that I can get my thoughts out. Sometimes it helps me figure out the piece that I'm going to be working on. And it just puts a special meaning into the piece that may only be known to me. But I will give it a start with, I'm using a Pip pen. And this is a canvas that I already had painted, base painted. It's kind of a canvas I use to clean my brushes off, clean my palette off, and I just scrub it onto another canvas. So I have canvases always ready to go. And this one I'm going to just start writing. And I'm writing about these two little birds that are going to be on my piece. And you can write about anything you want. This is a YouTube video. Maybe I'll add that in there. I'm not sure I'm liking this color on here. So let me see if I have a black pen. I'm pretty sure I have a black paint pen. Let's see if this will give me, this will definitely give me a little bit more definition. And to be honest, you don't have to be writing about anything. You can write any thought that comes into your head because it won't be read. You mainly want to just get that feeling of handwriting underneath. And I do usually cover the whole canvas, but I think I'm going to not do that this time, just for the sake of time. And it doesn't matter how sloppy you are, you got your handwriting on there, and I'm hoping that you can see that. So I've got my handwriting, and let's put those pens away. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my matte medium and I'm going to start gluing on some papers. So I've already kind of planned a few out just for the be able to speed through this a little bit. And you can see when I put that medium on, the color of the writing comes up, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to cover that up. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit so that writing shows up a little bit more. And you got to make sure to put on enough medium, and you can just slap it on there. And you just want to make sure that you don't get air bubbles if you can avoid it. So I use a bowl scraper. It has a beveled edge, a nice flexible edge, and that way I can just move the air bubbles right out of there. Let's see. If you want, if it's easier, you could just put your matte medium right on the canvas. Now, not that you're going to be working for speed when you're doing your piece. And I try to get my straight edges lined up with the side of my canvas, but for the sake of getting this video done and not boring you to tears, I am kind of racing through this. I always like odd text that doesn't really make any sense, but it'll show up in here. I love this is a vintage stationery I picked up at a thrift store, and I love the how thin it is. Let's see what else we have here. Part of an envelope from, whoops, wrong bottle. This is part of an envelope from a friend of mine that I'm doing a mail. We share art in the mail, and I think this was my piece from Michelle, that we send each other a piece of artwork every month in the mail, which has been really kind of fun, especially in these days where you don't really get mail that often anymore. Let's see, we're going to put that here. Now I'm still going to have my little birds to add in. Sure it's all down there. Now I'm kind of putting these pieces on first because this paper is a little bit more durable with what I'm going to end up putting on. And this is a piece of fabric. If you've ever gone shopping at a Free People store, they give these great little gauzy bags, or their signature bags. And oh, there's a bubble in there. Not to worry. Come on out. There it is. Now it's out. Anyway, the little gauze bags, they're really pretty. And they work really great in collage because it's a nice thin gauze. So let's get a piece of that in. And that smooths out really nice and adds a little bit of extra texture. Okay, now I've got those in there. I think that's a hem right there, which is going to be fine. Okay, so I've got those in. Now I'm going to add a few of my more delicate things. I wanted to add a little black and white to this, and this is my favorite napkin. I ordered these on Amazon, and actually I ordered them in a couple different colors. I love these. They're polka dot on one side and stripe on the other side. I've got a lime green, a teal, and I just got a black. And I love working with this because the little design shows up. You know, you can work it into anything. So, when you're using napkins, really fun. We've talked about this before. This was a 3-ply. So there's 2 plies here that I'm peeling off the back because I want that little napkin to be nice and thin, because then it will become transparent. So I think I just want to add some of the polka dots. And where do I want to add them? Oh, I think a couple could go over here. Now, the tissue you want to be a little bit more delicate with because it is going to tear. And see how that blends right in? It just becomes transparent. Let's see. Let's maybe put a little bit right up there. I'm not really sure what these are going to mean, what they're going to. Let's put it down there. See, I can still see that Free People bag underneath this. It's become very transparent. Now you have to be careful. You can't keep working this because it will tear. So I've got my polka dots, and I want to get a little bit of a stripe in there. Now we talked before about how you can pick out exactly what you want, where you want the napkin to tear. Just run a little bit of water along there and then pull it apart. It'll come right apart. I don't really need this, but I'm going to add it anyway. I think I'm just going to add 2 little stripes. Tear that apart. Add those stripes. Maybe I'm going to add it right over poems. Because I don't really, I'd like the words to be a little bit more obscure. Okay, so we got that going on. Now, what we need to add in are the very important little birds. So those little birds also were a napkin, little cocktail napkin. So I peeled off the backing, and now I've got just that. Let me pull a little finer paintbrush here, because I want, there's never a little fine paintbrush when I need it. I want just that little bird. Now let's see if we can tear that out gently. You don't have to be too careful with it. Okay, there's one little bird. Kind of like that little red spot there. And you kind of have to babysit your papers a bit. I see there's a air bubble happening there. If you can keep going back and getting rid of those air bubbles. Uh-oh, see, that's what I mean about. Oh, that was the bag. That wasn't the tissue. Okay. In any case, let's figure out what we want these little birds to be. I think I want, this one can be right here. Whoops. Maybe right there. There you go, there's one. And where'd that other little bird go? Oh! He flew the coop. I'm gonna put them right together on this one. There you go. So if you can see that and it's not too glary, again, I don't want to work it too much or I'm going to tear them up. But you can see those 2 little birds. Okay? Now what we're going to do, let's clear all this off here. It's my matte medium, cleaning it off. Okay, now I'm going to take some white gesso, just my acrylic white gesso, and put a little bit in my paint pan. And I'm going to kind of go around and let's soften up some edges and make some things disappear. And I'm just using the white. And you can kind of come in and negative paint around what's going on. Use your fingers. Don't be afraid to use your fingers and smooth out, blend out some of those harsher edges. Soften it up. That's what you want to do. You want to bring these little birds into the forefront and make them important. Make the story about them. And yes, we are covering things up. Yes, you have to cover things up. it's a good lesson in letting go. And it's a hard lesson, to be sure. Now again, this is, you know, I'm working wet into wet here. If I have more time, I might let it dry up a little bit more in between coats. I like that. I want to soften this edge. One of my little napkin backings. And yes, it would be better to wait till this is dry because I see that I am pulling up some of the tissue paper and kind of losing my little birds here. And I think I'm going to add a little texture. So I might add this little piece of cardboard. I don't know why. I just like that. Now whether it's going to stay in there. Again, if I was doing this just for myself, I would be taking a little more time and letting the layers dry a little bit in between. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that because this is going to be a hot mess if I don't. So let me take a break and let this dry a little bit, and I'll come back and we'll add some more layers on.